Hello Internet, my name is Andrew Eder, and welcome to another episode of Film Editorials. For years, second graders across the globe have wondered who would win in a fight, Batman versus Superman. The topic of today's video is Zack Snyder's answer to that question with Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Henry Cavill once again puts on the tights of Superman in Batman vs. Superman, in a story that takes place just over a year after the events of Man of Steel. Superman has been off doing his Superman thing, saving the world, and this has gotten him into some hot water with the US government and governments across the world, because should he really be saving all these people, and who does he answer to? Short answer, nobody. Meanwhile, across the lake in Gotham, Ben Affleck as Batman is also concerned about Superman's unlimited power, so he's doing some research and investigating since he is, the world's greatest detective and whatever, but he's also trying to uncover another mystery which seems to be involved somehow in Lex Luthor's company, LexCorp. As you might have guessed from the title, these two superheroes do end up meeting and having some fisticuffs. Basically everyone who was in Man of Steel is back for this movie, so obviously Henry Cavill is back, Diane Lane as Mrs. Kent, Amy Adams as Lois Lane, Lawrence Fishburne, even some characters who were dead by the end of Man of Steel make a couple of appearances, but if I tell you which ones and how, I think I'd be spoiling it, so just know that they show up. I've mentioned that Ben Affleck is Batman, and he's actually one of the shining parts of this movie. He's really good as Batman. A standalone Batfleck movie would actually be pretty sweet. Jesse Eisenberg plays Lex Luthor, and he does a really good job of playing the character he's been told to play. The problem is the character he's been told to play is annoying and frustrating and really not threatening at all in any way, and he's a terrible villain. Probably my favorite scene from the film is the one time Lex actually seems threatening and intimidating and intelligent, but also spiteful, as is this new iteration of his character. Basically, every other time he's in the movie, though, he's manic and twitchy and annoying, and you don't think Lex Luthor should be really any of those things. I probably should have mentioned, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, that I don't really follow comic books, so I'm not a purist in any sense of the word, but there are some things that I know should be happening, or things that I feel should be happening, and a twitchy, manic Lex Luthor is not one of those things that should be happening. In a similar vein, as cool and as believable and as realistic and as interesting as Ben Affleck's Batman is, he is much more violent than other iterations of the character we've seen, and that's not going to sit 100% well with some people. I was actually having some trouble with it too, but maybe that's just because I've seen the Nolan Batman trilogy recently, and in those films they make a big deal about how he doesn't use guns and doesn't kill people, and that's kind of like a big thing to that character, so it's really just overexposure. This is a new character, and there's a reason why he is more violent, but I don't know, it's still not sitting right with me. For Henry Cavill, I think he's a really good choice for Superman. I like what he does with the character, I like the way he works with the character. I just don't feel like he has a ton of stuff to do in this movie. As far as the plot goes, the first half of this movie, it's probably more like 2/3, but I'm going to call it half because that's how it feels, is actually pretty good. The two storylines where Batman and Superman are working independently of each other both work. They don't really work together, though, so when they have to join together for the fight in the title, it's under the thinnest of pretexts and doesn't make really any sense, and that's the point where the movie just devolves into ridiculousness. Their reasonings really don't work in context to each other. Like, Superman really has no reason to fight Batman. Like, yeah, there's a stated reason, but I don't think that that reason would be enough to make him do what he does. And the conclusion to their fight, how they realize that they're going to become friends again, because, spoiler alert, Batman and Superman are friends, is just as random and ridiculous and convenient as the start of it. There are a lot of other conveniences as well, like Lois Lane has apparently developed super hearing so that she can go and bring important items to the hero's attention, even though she shouldn't know that that's what they're looking for to begin with. The audience knows, but Lois Lane isn't the audience. Lois Lane is standing on a dock. How does she know that Batman's looking for this thing? And while I do enjoy the separate Batman and Superman stories, it does feel at times like you're watching two movies that have been spliced together for very little reason. Something that is made even more frustrating by the fact that they do not come together naturally. They are totally forced together at the end. If you haven't seen the trailer for this movie, then my next sentence might be a spoiler, but if you have seen the trailer, then it's not a spoiler at all. Doomsday is in this film, and that is another thing that is just shoehorned into this movie to, I don't know, pad the runtime, give the hero something to fight, actually provide a fight to the movie. I don't know why he's there. That's another thing that's just ridiculous and really out of place. and how he comes into being doesn't make any rational sense either. Like, there's a ton of questions I could ask about it. Now, the movie is titled Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, hinting at the DC Cinematic Universe's bigger plan to have a Justice League film. And this movie does not let you forget that that is a thing that is going to happen. In Marvel movies, they do hint at other movies coming up. Like before the Captain America movie, Iron Man saw Captain America's shield, and it was like, oh yeah, don't forget the Captain America movie's coming out. So they didn't spend a lot of time talking about Captain America in an Iron Man movie until later. Batman vs. Superman does not have that problem, and by does not have that problem, I mean it totally, absolutely is a problem in that movie that they spend so much time talking about the other movies that are going to be coming up. There are 3 separate scenes where they introduce you to other members of the Justice League. And that is at least 2 scenes too many. There's one shot that's kind of cool that really just hints at it. Batman is investigating Wonder Woman, again she's in the trailer so that's not a spoiler, and comes across some other files with the logos of other superheroes. If they just left it at that, it would be fine. Later on, however, someone else sees those files, opens them, and watches like little found footage documentaries about these characters. And it is right before a big action piece, and it just pauses the movie to talk about movies that are coming up down the pipeline. And it's ridiculous and throws you completely out of the movie and just hammers it home in a really unsubtle way, and I hated it. Why would you pause before the main action set piece and just be like, oh yeah, don't forget, there's an Aquaman movie coming out, let's watch Aquaman for some minutes. Interesting. One of the things I was expecting going into this movie is to not enjoy the Batman stuff, because we've seen Batman 7 times that I can think of already. So I was expecting to be really tired of all that, except I like the way they did the Batman stuff. His armor is cool, his regular everyday Batmaning outfit is neat, the Batmobile is cool, the Batwing is neat. There are guns involved, so that's going to be problematic for some people, like I said, but it's still cool to look at, so I mean that's a plus. But thank God we got to see Batman's origin story, because whew, I didn't know his parents died. I mean wow, we've never heard that story before. This time, though, it got the Zack Snyder treatment, so everything's in slow motion. Yay. I saw this movie in IMAX 3D, and I really don't think the 3D added anything to my enjoyment of this film. I don't even remember that many times when there was particularly strong 3D effects. But the IMAX side of things was really cool. They shot a lot of this movie with IMAX cameras, so it uses the entire IMAX screen, and that's really fun to watch. It's the kind of thing I like. You get to see more of the picture. So I like that. So, what's my final verdict? Well, I'm going to have to give Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice 2 stars out of 5. Ben Affleck does a really, really good job as Batman. I actually liked that quite a lot. The independent Batman and Superman storylines from the first half of the movie are actually quite interesting, but on the negative side, those 2 stories do not mesh well together, and so the reasons for their eventual struggle, as suggested in the title, are random and weird and totally out of left field. The villains are very disappointing by either being shoehorned in right at the end or just being annoying throughout the whole movie. Also, this movie does not let you forget that it is part of a much larger franchise that is coming, and it pauses the movie to tell you about the other movies that are coming up, and that's very, very frustrating and distracting. There are some things to enjoy in this movie, but the lack of a strong central narrative totally ruins the thing. So I think that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know what you thought of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice down below in the comments. Another thing you can put down below in the comments is your favorite external reference. Mine is the Star Wars TK421 reference that comes in right at the end. Eagle-eyed viewers might be able to spot it. Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, favorite, share, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat. And while Batman vs. Superman might not be good news, I do urge you to check out my friends over at The Good News Review, tgnreview.com, because they talk about actual news stories that aren't just fluff pieces, but that will still make you happy for the world. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!